You think you're doing the right thing, putting all plastics into the recycling bin, but where do they actually go? Where you live is a huge factor, but most plastics, even placed in curbside recycling in neighborhoods or cities that actually do pick them up as recycling, is never actually recycled, instead ending up in a landfill. Today, let's talk about how recyclable plastics really are, as well as where paper packaging is being used as an alternative to plastics. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Sarah,
And I'm Sydney.
and today I would like to talk about plastics and paper packaging and the recyclability of it all. So, I think we said this before, but like me and Sydney both have background in packaging, but mostly paper packaging, so maybe a little biased. And I don't know a lot about plastics. Do you know a bunch about plastics?
Um, I feel like I think I don't, but then if you start asking me stuff, I probably do.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, we probably know more than the regular person. I feel like some people think that they're all like the same recyclability. So I would like to educate on that because
Yeah,
they are not.
there's a lot of, especially with plastics, a lot of misconceptions.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I want to talk about today. And I found the Greenpeace 2022 report on recyclability in the US. So like I thought we'd start with that
Ooh,
and just go
okay.
through it. I don't know if you want to open the PDF. I'll put that in the sources too. But first, I feel like Greenpeace is also kind of people don't like them,
Right.
but I'm just gonna say what they say their mission is. Greenpeace's mission is to promote peace by investigating, exposing, and comforting emotional abuse, championing environmentally responsible solutions, and advocating for the rights and well-being of all people. And the group evolved from Canadian and American protesters into a group of environmentalists who were reflective of the counterculture and hippie youth movements of the 60s and 70s. So they've kind of been active since then, I guess. But I guess they do a yearly report on different types of issues in the environment, and they did one on recyclability. So, first, I wanted to talk about the types of plastics because I feel like people know the numbers, but they don't know what they are. Would you say that's fair to say?
Yeah.
So, one is PET, which is polyethylene tetraphthalate, which is like the water and soft drinks bottles. Two is high density polyethylene, which are more like milk jugs or like chemical jugs. Three is polyvinyl chloride, which cosmetic containers could be made of, or like film wraps. Four is low density polyethylene, which are usually like bags for groceries. Five is polypropylene, which just said like K cups are made out of that, which I didn't know that used that, but it's
Or
probably
like
the.
I've heard polypropylene is like if you have anything that's like you know how toothpaste lids have a hinge?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
plastic. Anything with a live hinge like that is usually
Oh,
polypropylene.
nice. That's good to know. There's so many plastics. Six is polystyrene, which could be like cups for water, or like the lids. It can also be expanded polystyrene, which are used for like clamshell, like takeout boxes. And then seven is just any other plastic that they can't say in those, which could be like anything.
Mark had someone come into the restaurant this past week and said she was allergic to styrofoam.
Oh,
And my part of me just wonders because obviously EPS, expanded polystyrene, and polystyrene are the same thing. But
yeah.
I just wonder if she was lying because she didn't want to eat something out of styrofoam because, you know, a lot of people, like, it gives you cancer.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I just wonder if she actually is allergic. Does she know that
That like
there's
everything is.
there's so much made out of polystyrene that isn't expanded?
Yeah.
I accuse her of lying. Said I've never heard of that.
Well, I mean, people can be allergic to anything, I guess, but like that would be
Yeah.
rough life to be.
Yeah, because I think a lot of like medical stuff is polystyrene too. Like think of
Yeah.
so many, like everything we interact with is plastic, and it doesn't always have the recycle symbol on it so that you know like the code.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it could be any of these things or a mix of them.
Right.
Yeah. There's too much plastic.
So much plastic.
Um, the US legal definition of recyclable. So the FTC requires that recycling facilities be available to a substantial majority of US residents, defined to be at least 60%, which I don't see how that's a substantial majority, but and that the collected product be used in the manufacturing or assembly of a new item. So I feel like it's pretty loose definition to be able to say it's
Yeah.
recyclable.
Right.
So, yeah, I think they just put recyclable on everything and it maybe isn't even.
I mean,
Um, yeah.
also recyclable doesn't mean recycled.
No,
Like it
right.
doesn't mean they're gonna recycle it,
Right. Yeah, we're gonna get into
which is
that.
I guess yeah, this whole thing.
Right, yeah. Um, yeah, there were just some highlights from the executive summary that I took, but they said there's an Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development report, which projects that global plastic use and waste will nearly triple by 2060, while they think there won't be much significant increase in plastic recycling. So it could result in a doubling of global plastic pollution, which is
Oh,
crazy to think about.
that's already so much.
I know. And then the US DOE estimated the volume of plastic waste in the US rose to 44 million metric tons in 2019, which is approximately 295 pounds per person. That's a lot. Like, you don't
Yeah.
think about how much plastic there is, but it's everywhere.
And think about how lightweight it is. Like most of it is
Yeah.
hollow on top of being pretty light. So like the actual volume of that is
Yeah,
probably so high.
that's true. Yeah, it's all just smushed down. Think of 295 pounds for that's
Oh
more
my
than I
god.
weigh. Like,
Right.
I don't know what the average weight of the American citizen is, but it's probably more than the average weight of a
Yeah.
person. That's in plastic. But yeah, the US recycling rate is estimated to have declined to about 5 to 6% in 2021 due to not being able to export it to China,
Right.
which like the US counted that export as recycling, even though China, you don't know what they did with it. Like they could have just burnt it or whatever, dumped it somewhere. But we
Yeah,
counted
because
that
they
as
didn't
recycling.
care.
I know, but how can we count it as recycling if we just ship it to them?
Plausible deniability, I
I
guess.
know, but like, yeah. And since the 1990s, the plastics and products industries have been promoting recycling as the solution to plastic waste, but like, that's clearly not working at this point. Like 30 years later.
Right. Well, do you talk about how they knew it wasn't working?
Um, kind of. I mean, I have examples of
Okay,
from the
okay.
report. I mean, you can say now if
Yeah,
you
we'll
want.
get to it.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
well, it's just that, like, the plastics industry has always known that,
Yeah.
no, what do you, like, that the stuff isn't getting recycled, but they just let you continue to think that it is because it helps them by helping you feel better about it. But really, like, they've known all along that recycling wasn't working and that there really is no practical application for most recycled materials.
Yeah. I don't say
And
that
that's
specifically
from
in here.
okay, that's from what is that radio show? Why can't I remember what it's called?
NPR?
Yeah, NPR
Oh.
published an article talking about how basically the
Oh, yeah.
recycling industry has been knowingly lying to us since the 90s about this.
Yeah. We should include that in here. I didn't really look at that, but that's true. Yeah, there's no plan, and they're just saying that's still the only solution is just recycle it, even though they don't actually do that. So,
Right.
what are we supposed to do? Um, yeah, the Greenpeace article or the report said there's 5 barriers to why plastics are not being recycled at a higher rate, so I wanted to get into those a little bit. They're basically calling out the plastics industry though in this report
Ooh,
that
call
like
them out.
now is the time to like we've let this go on too long and it's like now's the time to fix it for real.
Right.
So we'll see if that actually happens, but they said the first reason is plastic waste is extremely difficult to collect. Like there's so much plastic everywhere. And they said single use specifically. Like it's so hard to how do you collect every single utensil that everyone used and sort it?
Right.
And they said there's trillions of pieces of single-use plastic every year being thrown away. Which I've never thought that either, but like that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but sad. Now I feel like I need to stop using all of them.
Okay, I won't.
I just feel like I should, but yeah, I don't know if I, well, yeah. I don't know. Speaking of utensils, though, have you seen the ones that say they're compostable now? The new ones?
Yeah.
I like that. But like, don't you have to compost it at home?
Well,
Like, if you just
what
throw it in the
I've heard
trash.
about a lot of the compostable plastics is that they essentially just break down into microplastics.
Okay. I thought I saw one that was like more, well, maybe it's just the coloring. Maybe they made it look like pulp. Like to me it seemed
Yeah,
more
and
pulpy,
it has
but
like a weird finish, right? Like kind of
yeah,
a, I don't want to say chalky, but
right. Is that by design though to make me think it's not plastic?
yeah, I think so. Because I know a lot of the issues they have with these plastics are that they don't really compost, they just break down. And yeah, you would have to compost it or send it somewhere where it would be composted, but a landfill's not going to do that.
Right. A landfill, that's not gonna be good if it composts in a landfill. Like that's the opposite of what we
Right.
want landfills to do. I mean, we shouldn't even have
Right.
landfills. I don't
Yeah,
know.
why are
All of
we
this makes me
encasing it
mad.
all in plastic? They
We're
literally
making
lay down sheets of plastic in landfills so that it can't
right.
compost.
And well, so it doesn't seep into our water and poison us all because it's
Uh,
waste. I mean, that's
why are we
why.
burying it?
I don't know. We're making like these are gonna be the pyramids of the future. They'll be like,
Yeah,
wow, they
big
made
dirt
a
piles. They're gonna be like,
big
look at
trash pile.
this village. Look at all this stuff in this ancient village. But really, it was a freaking landfill.
Yeah. Oh no. The APR, which is Association of Plastic Recyclers, blames the collection infrastructure for that it's hard to collect. Saying it's based on the 70s and 80s and hasn't improved for the current packaging stream needs. And they say plastic recyclers are operating at 60% capacity and could recycle much more if they could just get the products. But like, I don't think that really makes sense that it's.
I've always, okay, this might be jumping the gun, but I've always heard that part of the reason that they don't run at full capacity is because they're for profit businesses, and in order to, like, make a profit, they need to be able to sell what they're recycling, but there's so
Oh,
little demand for recycled, like, because there's so much
right.
plastic that's been used, there is no demand for recycled plastic content to like put back into the manufacturing stream. So they
Right.
like have no incentive to be efficient or to, like, why would they